So I've had my 2025 Jeep Gladiator for several months now, and I'm starting to feel like it's a little bit underpowered. You know, at first it felt really great, kind of like all new vehicles do when you just get them, right? But then I went out and I got myself a 2025 Toyota Tacoma 4-cylinder turbo. Now, there was a lot of discontent when Toyota stuck that 4-cylinder power plant in the Tacoma. And I was a little bit, I don't know, leery myself, I thought. When I first heard that it was coming out, it wasn't enough, obviously, for me to not want it. But I did hesitate a bit because, of course, I've had years of Tacomas and 6-cylinder engines, right? But nonetheless, I bought it, and I have to say it has completely changed my mind. This thing has more torque, more horsepower. It feels stronger than the V6 version did. So, what about the Jeep Gladiator? You know, there's talk right now of Jeep coming out with I guess a Hemi, or not coming out with a Hemi, but putting a Hemi under the hood of the Gladiator. And that's all great because obviously it's going to be quicker, more powerful, more capable even off-road. I mean, it would be awesome, right? But the problem is they already cost a fortune. I mean, you're going to spend anywhere from mid-40s to, I don't know, mid-60s, depending on how you outfit the Gladiator. How much are you going to pay for one, or how much are they going to ask for one if it has a Hemi in it? I mean, you're probably talking about, I'm guessing, a $70,000 to $80,000 Jeep Gladiator. And of course, they're not going to be mass produced probably. I mean, there's only going to be a certain number. It's not like they're going to whip out tons and tons of them like they do right now, which is only going to increase the price even further. So what about alternatives? What about putting a Turbo 4 in the Jeep Gladiator? What do you think of that? And I know there's probably going to be a lot of discontent out there for that, but if it were to perform in the same way that the Tacoma does, or better, I think it might be something interesting to see, right? Now, let's go one step even further, because I think a Turbo 4 in the Gladiator should keep pricing right around where it is right now. What about a Turbo 6? That, I think, would be a fantastic alternative to putting the Hemi in from a cost or a pricing standpoint. Granted, probably still going to be more money. This thing, instead of 40 with a V6 turbo in it, would probably be 45. I mean, let's be honest. And then all of the prices would rise, of course, as you go up through the trim levels. But could you imagine how this thing would perform with a V6 turbo in it? Now, I know what a lot of you are probably thinking. Hey, I use this thing for off-roading, man. I put a tent on the top, I load it up with gear, I put those great big giant 37-inch tires on it. What do I care if it's fast? Well, you should care, because once you add all that weight to the truck, you're reducing what it's capable of, right? Because you're robbing power from it. I mean, the rotational drag from those heavy tires alone cuts down on how responsive or how much available power there is for you once you get going. What adding that Turbo 6, I guess, to the truck would do is bring it back up, maybe to where it is right now, or even a little bit better, once you add all that overlanding gear. Even things like tires and maybe a tent or a shell, not a tent, but a shell on the back. Anything to bring it back up to where it was, I guess, before you add all of that stuff on. So it's not only about quickness. I mean, let's be honest, we're not out there drag racing Jeep Gladiators, are we? I mean, there could be some out there on the circuits, I suppose, but those are heavily modified. they're not even really the same truck. They're just a platform that happens to have a Gladiator body on it, right? This would give us normal people, I suppose, well, like me anyway, the option to have a Gladiator that's more powerful without having to spend the Hemi money. A Hemi's a great idea, as I mentioned, don't get me wrong, but it's not probably realistic for most people. I mean, I'm not going to go out and dump $75,000 or $80,000 on a Jeep Gladiator. I'm just not going to do it. And who the hell wants to do that and then go out off-roading somewhere where you're going to scratch it up, maybe dent it, maybe even knock something off, and you've spent that kind of money on the vehicle, right? I mean, I would feel pain if I did that, knowing how much I spent. Of course, if you're a multi-gazillionaire, I suppose it doesn't really matter. You know, what's a Jeep Gladiator in the grand scheme of things? I don't know. But anyway, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. What about, first of all, and I don't think this is probably a great option for the Gladiator, but what about a 4-cylinder turbo? You know, I'll tell you, years ago when my wife and I bought her Jeep Wrangler, we had the option to go with a 4-cylinder, and it was the turbo, I believe. But we opted for the V6 naturally aspirated because of fear of the 4-cylinder turbo. I don't have that anymore. The better option, I think, would be the Turbo 6. V6 with a turbo in it for even more horsepower and torque. I think it would be pretty awesome. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of that idea. And has there even been any talk of that? I really haven't heard anything about that myself. All I hear is talk of Jeep going to a Hemi. And by the way, on that topic, I read an article recently. If you pay attention to what's out there on the web and the forums and the groups and things, you would think it's a foregone conclusion that Jeep is definitely going to do this. There's a Hemi coming next year. Not so true if you listen to what Jeep is saying. It's pretty much something that it sounds to me like they're kicking around a little bit here or there. Nothing has really been decided. And from the tone of the articles that I see, it sounds to me like nothing is going to happen. There is not going to be a Hemi in the Jeep Gladiator. A 4-cylinder turbo, I think that might even be more likely. Anyway, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.